Greetings and welcome to another Patch Notes video here at Words About Games, a weekly video series that lets us host discussions and post opinion pieces about our various thoughts on games, gaming, and the industry. Today I want to spend a Patch Notes just going through the changes that I've made to the content across Words About Games, both on YouTube and Twitch over the beginning of 2020. Over the Christmas and New Year break, I had a long rethink of how we were delivering content to you, what content we were focusing on, and the timing of said content. In 2019, my aim had always been to work everything to a schedule. Literally every video series was attempting to work to that schedule, and while that works really well for some types of videos we were making, it didn't work so well for others. So when 2020 rolled around, I made a new spreadsheet with a new plan for what videos we'd be making and when they'd release. I spent the better part of the last 2 months tweaking the plan, updating the spreadsheet, adding new types of videos to the rotation, and generally figuring out how best to make everything fit together and work. And now, as I sit here and type this in the early weeks of March, I think I've finally cracked a workable schedule that gets you all of the best videos in a really timely manner and allows me to be flexible and have a schedule that I can work with. So I'm going to just briefly spend some time running through all the different types of content you'll be able to find on Words About Games in 2020 and when you can expect to be getting it. After all, 2020 is promising to be the biggest year in gaming in a long time, maybe ever. So having a solid plan for how we're going to cover everything and talk about the things we're passionate about is going to be hugely essential. Review impressions are videos that are going to come out whenever there are games to cover. Last year I tried to hammer these videos into a schedule. I'd aim to have them out every Tuesday and Friday, and sometimes on Sundays when there were particularly heavy weeks. But releasing reviews to a schedule just doesn't work. So now, much like Valve making video games, they'll be ready when they're ready. Sometimes that'll be to embargo, when we're fortunate enough to secure early preview codes from publishers, developers, and PR companies. Other times they might come out quite quickly after a game's launch, and other times it might take a little while for us to put something out. It depends on a lot of factors, and timing isn't always something I can always know in advance. Whenever a review impression video comes out, that's the earliest it could possibly have come out. Previews. This is something I've wanted to get off the ground for a while now. In fact, if you scroll through our uploads, you'll see multiple attempts at it in the past. And in 2020, I finally committed to making it a reality. I'm fortunate enough to have access to a lot of games early. Sometimes that's in the form of betas, early access games, and demos that everyone has access to. Other times, I have opportunities to get a hold of demos to try out in advance of release dates. At first, I thought I'd do previews the same way I tackle reviews. Play a game, write a document, record a video. But I really wanted to differentiate the two in some way. I also realised that there are a huge variety of different ways I'm able to go hands-on with games for previews, and there wasn't really a single perfect way to record my thoughts on all of them. So I split this down into 3 categories. Depending on how I play a game for preview will depend on the type of preview you'll get. For games that launch in early access and substantial betas and trials, I'll play the game for a while until I have a feel for it, then record my unscripted thoughts on the game as I play it. I did this for my Bleeding Edge preview, where I played a few hours, made some notes, and then recorded my thoughts as I played a match, and also for my Foregone preview, which is a game that just released in early access. For shorter demos, either publicly released or otherwise, where the time they can last is generally around 30 to 60 minutes, I'll just jump straight into the demo and give you my thoughts live as I'm playing for the first time. Because these demos tend to be shorter, and I don't think it would make a great video to play the same content over twice, like my preview of the Final Fantasy VII Remake or the Resolution demo. The last category is Handson Impressions. These are games I've played, but not in an environment where I can capture footage. For example, when I'm at a show like EGX. For these type of previews, I'll sit down with someone and discuss what I played and my thoughts on it. You'll probably see these types of videos pop up more often when the release schedule is light, and less often when it's end of March levels of crazy, though if I get the opportunity to preview something I'm hyped for, or that looks genuinely interesting, I'll do my best to slot in a preview regardless of what the game release schedule looks like. The Words About Games cast. There aren't going to be any changes to the Words About Games cast. It's still a news show that focuses on the biggest stories in gaming, the games industry, and gaming culture, with one of several co-hosts joining me to talk things through. We've got the 200th episode coming up, which is a neat milestone I never thought I'd hit when I started the podcast many years ago using Steam Voice Chat and a cheap Turtle Beach headset. Every Monday on YouTube at 9 PM UK time, when YouTube isn't taking half a day to upload and process the video. Twitch. I took an extended break from live streaming on Twitch last year. For a variety of reasons I went anew in my New Year's resolutions video earlier in 2020. I'm back now and streaming twice a week, every Wednesday night at 8 PM and Saturday. The start and finish times of the Saturday stream vary depending on what I'm doing. For example, I'll be doing a longer stream when Resident Evil 3 launches, as I'll be playing through the whole campaign, hopefully, in one sitting. Although that's starting to look less likely the more I hear about the game, because it sounds a lot chunkier than last year's remake of 2. I'm streaming a mixture of multiplayer games with some of the Words About Games gang, first looks at newly released games, long-running games that I keep coming back to, and story-driven games. I'll also be trying to bring back my long indie streams when I want to take a look at a bunch of different indie games, and we'll keep doing the long charity streams as well. Patch Notes. Patch Notes is becoming a little more organised going forward into the rest of 2020. Before, this was just a catch-all of whatever we want to use it for. It was a wide variety of essays, opinions, discussions, lists, and more. It's still kind of going to be that, but with more focus. Each Patch Notes video will fall into one of 5 categories, each with their own separate playlist and style of video. It's still just as wide-ranging as it was before, but with a clearer divide between each of the different types of videos, with the Patch Notes title now serving as an umbrella for one of the 5 distinct series encompassed within. They are lists. Everyone loves a good list, and we've put out a fair few over the years. These will be whatever I decide to make a list about, like our recent episode, 6 games I play when I want to chill, and 9 awesome dreams creations. Deep dives into all the games. I don't have any kind of snappy title for this yet, because it's a brand new idea, and the first one isn't coming out until next week. These videos will essentially be reviews of older games, incorporating the benefit of hindsight and the time that's passed between when the game was released and when the video was made, and they'll certainly be longer and more in-depth than our standard impressions videos. Look out for the first episode, Apex Legends 1 year later, next Wednesday. Discussions. We've done a couple of these in the past year, and I aim to do more. Before the podcast switched over to being a news-focused discussion video, we would bring topics to talk about. Sometimes these topics had nothing to do with the news of the week, and we had some really interesting discussions off the back of them. So every now and then, I'll grab whoever's available for some discussions about some other aspects of gaming. Opinion essays. I've done a lot of these under Patch Notes, my video about Control's world design, or my in-depth thoughts on Death Stranding, and I'll be continuing these for a long time yet to come. Dream Games. A new series I launched last week with Dream Games Star Trek. These are fun pitches for dream game ideas that I'd love to play. There won't be any kind of even split to these videos. Some of them you'll get more of, and some you might get less of. It all depends on factors such as available time, available people, ideas I've had, games I've played, and a whole bunch more. But one of these 5 types of videos will keep popping up in your subscription feed each and every Wednesday at 9 PM UK time. Indie Game of the Week. Indie Game of the Week is back with a slightly different twist. This series of videos spun out from a segment we started on the podcast, and it's been through a few different iterations, as well as disappearing and reappearing a couple of times. I finally settled on a format of introducing an indie game, watching the trailer, and then going through the description and features as they're listed on the store page, website, or wherever else I've gotten my information. The main reason for this new format was that I wanted to get my opinions out of the videos. We started Indie Game of the Week to highlight upcoming indie games that look cool, and the videos started being about my opinions of the games rather than the games themselves. By filming the videos in this way, the focus is simply on what the game is and on giving you a look at its trailer. Spotlighting interesting indie games that have caught my attention is something I love, and this is one of my favourite series. It goes live every Friday at 9 PM UK time. Friendly Debates and Hall of Fame. There's no real change to the format of either Friendly Debates or Hall of Fame. We tweaked a few things in the videos to make them a bit smoother and a bit easier to shoot, but overall they're still the same videos you know. Friendly Debate sees myself and Keith pick a topic, make a list, and then debate each other as we attempt to build a top 5 or top 10 of our chosen topic. Hall of Fame sees myself, Patrick, and Keith induct a new game each episode into our growing list of our favourite video games of all time. The big change for both of these shows is that we've made the decision to make them irregular. When I was coming up with a new schedule for 2020, there wasn't an elegant place to put either of them, and if we committed to making these videos once a week or fortnight or month, we ran the risk of putting out subpar videos. Instead, they'll come out when they come out. Sometimes that might mean we can shoot multiple episodes back to back, other times there might be an extended break between shows. But what that allows us to do is keep the quality up and not pump videos out at the last minute or under time constraints just to hit a date. Not only does this allow us to make the best episodes we can, it also allows us to be flexible in creating the rest of our content, which means better and more timely videos across the entire channel. Special videos, E3, Fantasy League, etc. There'll be other videos that come out as the year goes on that don't quite neatly fit into any of the series I've mentioned. Assuming it's not cancelled by the coronavirus, we'll still be reacting to E3 and putting all of our streams and discussions up on the YouTube channel. We'll be making periodic updates to our Fantasy Gaming League as we see who can build the best team out of upcoming video game releases. I'm looking into bringing back reactions videos to direct state of players, other shows, trailers, reveals and more. And there's probably a ton of other things that may or may not happen as 2020 rolls on. Overall, I think we've built a pretty solid foundation for Words About Games going forward. I've been working to this schedule for all of 2020 so far, slowly launching new things like previews and relaunching things like Indie Game of the Week, but everything is running, touch wood, incredibly smoothly. I hope you continue to enjoy our quirky little corner of the internet as much as we love talking about our burning passion. Thanks very much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it or found it useful, consider sticking around here at Words About Games. Our content includes review impressions of games big and small, a weekly podcast dedicated to discussing the happenings in and around the games industry, weekly opinion videos, reactions, debate-driven top 5 and top 10 lists, a regular Hall of Fame series where we discuss our favourite games, and indie game spotlights. We also stream every Friday and Saturday at twitch.tv/wordsaboutgames. Most importantly, have a brilliant day.